Hello guys, NautoAce here. So I want to give more thoughts on the Nintendo Switch. So it's already been a couple of months since release, March 3rd, and it actually started great. Better than the Wii U. In the month of March, it actually sold more than 2 million Switch. So, I thought they wouldn't, but I guess they were able to do it. But also, it's a launch new system. It's a common thing, believe it or not. Also, to some extent, the Wii U. Well, the Wii U kind of did it per se, almost, but I guess the little fell short. But that's a different story. So the difference again is I kind of talked about it before was the launch games and more basically variety games versus the Wii U. When the Wii U was really released at launch, one of the biggest problems was that the port was already people already had for the PS3 or 360. Plus, there wasn't a lot of indie games. Switch came. There's a lot of indie games. There were even some are like exclusive. They made an exclusive deal. Even so, you have points of retail game. It's mostly the showcases the Nintendo games because you buy Nintendo console for Nintendo games. Most people do it, and now the indie games because the guy who's in charge of indie game he didn't even exist yet during the Wii U until later on. They probably got the idea from PlayStation, which Adam Boyce and Gio Corsi. Because if you don't know those two, well, Adam Boy used to work for Capcom, went to Sony. Now he's working at Iron Galaxy. If I could be wrong, he's working as a game developer. But Adam Boyce, excuse me, in Sony, he was basically his title was third party relation, which basically is he's in charge of convincing indie developer to some extent retail or the big one, but it's really the indie to port their game. That's the keyword. Port their game to the PlayStation family. That was his job. Gio Corsi basically works under him. He also does the same thing. I think he's just called third party games, which is the same deal to some extent, but he I guess in charge of like also third party. That's what it is. Of course, after a while, Adam Boyce left, so Gio Corsi took over. Two guys great in Sony. So they have something like that for Nintendo now, which I have no idea his name. Unfortunately, apologize. And it's in charge of most of the indie games. And they did get some good indie games. One of them is exclusive. Blaster Master Zero, which is a remake of the NES Blaster Master. $10. If you're a fan of Blaster Master, here it is. There you go. And there are some other, I think, Nintendo indie exclusive for the Switch. So, okay, so with that, I talk about the launch, at the greater launch, good launches on the Switch versus the Wii U. But that still remains the biggest question. So it is selling strong. People like the Switch. You can't find a Switch. Okay, before I start, a little tidbit. Why can't you find a Switch when you're going in? Well, they kind of limited quantity, just like the Wii, because when the lady Wada basically trying to, well, the word is turning around and basically decided to make more so anybody can get one without any problem. Nobody really bought them. Let's just say that. Let's just say during Black Friday, it was easy to find a Wii. Granted, there's two SKUs. The white one was easy to see, but at some point, the black ones were starting to appear because people didn't really care. So Kimishima said, okay, let's limit the production for a while because we don't know if it's going to sell or not. Again, remember that pessimistic strategy they always do. There you go. So if you're now saying, oh, I want a Switch, well, there you go. Be patient. Maybe wait until September or fall. That's basically when the real games are going to start. That's when all the big games are going to appear. Not just Nintendo Switch, but to the other console, the Sony platform, Microsoft platform. So there you go. But that's the reason why you can't find it as of right now. So with that, this has always been a common question from Nintendo, and that is, does Nintendo really need third-party support? Oh my goodness. Okay, so just a little brief history. That if you are a long-time Nintendo fan that grew up playing the NES and Super Nintendo, then you know the history of third-party relation with Nintendo. So basically, for people who are new to Nintendo, don't understand the history of the 8-bit and the 16-bit, here's some sort of backstory. Nintendo in the 8-bit basically saved the video game industry. Everybody should know that. It was a time when people were fatigued with video game business, with the video game, because there was just too much video games. I'm tired, so they said, "Fine, let's take a break." But Nintendo stepped up and said, "Hey, the new version, new evolution for video game, the Nintendo." They were the first one to come back, and then of course there was Sega Master, there was another system. But there is a basically you always put this one rule that people know about it. There's always one rule that's basically very draconian, and that is, a lot of people have said about this, is they call it exclusivity rule, which basically means if you put the game in the Nintendo platform, it will say Nintendo platform. That's the rule. You put it on a competitive platform, don't bother putting it on the Nintendo. And they didn't really have a choice. They had to do it because Nintendo was in the lead. They were in the control of the gaming business. They got no choice. They got to make money, so they just have to suck it up. They did it also with the Super Nintendo. So those two eras, the 8-bit and 16, that's why they have a lot of third-party games, because you couldn't put it on the other system because they had that rule. Until the N64, when Sony PlayStation stepped in, introduced their console, they had a more freedom rule to some extent about games, and they can say, hey, put our games here, but you can also put it in the other one. We don't care. Be all our guests, and they did. There was like Resident Evil. There was also Resident Evil for the N64, Mega Man Legend. There was like Mortal Kombat Trilogy. There was a PlayStation. There was a N64 version. But the thing also what people were noticing, and this is sort of a foreshadowing, what a lot of people were buying third-party games on the PlayStation while keeping Nintendo games on N64. So you say, oh, not a big deal. Maybe they just came in late. So came the GameCube versus the PlayStation 2, and that's when a third-party company said, okay, we kind of see the pattern here, and that is the reason why it's called the PS2 era, not the 128-bit era, the PS2 era, because the PlayStation 2 dominated during that generation. They defeated the Dreamcast, and the GameCube and the Xbox original could not compete with the PlayStation 2. It is the weaker of the system. However, it had a lot of variety of games. People were just buying a lot of games, third-party game, first-party game on the PlayStation 2. And some company were trying to support Nintendo with the GameCube, but after a while they said, yeah, we kind of noticed that nobody's buying games for the GameCube for third-party games. So a lot of them were bailing out. Nintendo had to basically make exclusive deal just to basically have third-party games. Like there was some kind of jerky move what Nintendo did. Like one of the games, the Sega Sonic Gem Collection, which basically is for the PS2 and GameCube, which is Sonic CD, Sonic the Fighter, some GameCube Sonic games, and some other one. And what happened was in Europe, it's in the PS2, and it's on the PS2 and the GameCube. While in America, it's only in the GameCube, and the reason is there was report that Nintendo paid Sega a lot of money to keep it exclusive. Jerky move there. Sega didn't have to accept the money, but they just said, hey, we need to make some money. There you go. But of course, that's sort of rectified since you can now get Sonic CD and the PS3 and 360 for really cheap. A lot of the other Sega Saturn downloadable games now it is Daytona USA, Sonic the Fighters. And then you have it for the Xbox 360 and PS3, the Sonic Mega Genesis Collection. So all fair, but you get the idea what I'm trying to say. That it was the GameCube that started lost third-party support. Then the Wii, they decided to go to a different approach to make themselves different so they don't have to compete with the other two. Because look what happened to the GameCube, they couldn't compete. So they did have third-party games, a lot of exclusive, a lot of shovelware exclusive, but they had games. Then finally came the Wii U, and this is, everybody should already know, you buy the Wii U to play Nintendo games in HD. That's all it is. A lot of third-party don't want to support it. A lot of the games were basically inferior version because they know that not a lot of people are going to buy third-party games on the Wii U, and it actually showed. Then now with the Switch, yeah, there are some good third-party games. That's also in the other one. There's Puyo Tetris, Skylander Imaginator. Of course, there's gonna be Rayman Legend, Skyrim. I don't know what that. Oh, Sonic Mania, Sonic Force. So you have a lot of this game, but there are still some games that's not even porting to the Switch, such as the Disney Afternoon Collection, not in the Switch. There's a rumor there's a new Mega Man Legacy Collection too. Again, rumor, I don't know if it's true. No say on the Switch. Tekken 7, not on the Switch, because Harada said that he needed more time to understand the Switch. Let's see, what else? Of course, Final Fantasy, not on the Switch. You can see the pattern there. So the question basically is, do they really need third-party support? What basically happened during the Wii U on the, well, I call it the resolution era, but the Wii U, because it's trying to compete with the PS4 and Xbox One, the answer is most definitely. I did talk about it before, so I'm going to talk about it again with new development. Yeah, they do need third-party support. If you're a guy that's multi-platform, then you're really not going to be bothered with it. You're not going to have a problem with it because you're probably going to buy your games in either Xbox One or PS4 for third-party games and then Nintendo games on the Switch. That's always been the history since the N64. However, if you're only person who's a very dedicated, loyal to Nintendo, and you can only afford the Switch, and you want the variety, well, it is getting there, but at the same time, hey, it's still not there. And at fall of 2017 and beyond that, that's the key thing that everyone's going to find out. Will they succeed? Are they going to suck? We have to wait and see. Because right now, it's still too early. And they are releasing it during the summer. But wait until fall, until the holiday 2017. That's a very key point there. If a lot of good games are not coming to the Switch, but it's going to the other platform, even games that originally was from a Nintendo console, now they're not going there, then you might want to get worried. But for now, it's still too early, but they do need third-party support because even Kimishima said it. He even admitted it that yes, they do need third-party support. They can't just rely on Nintendo games. They tried that with the Wii U to some extent because they really couldn't do anything about it. They're trying to make their games so good so people will buy Wii U and then that's it. Not working. Even a lot of the Nintendo games are good. Not everyone can afford multi-platform, and if they want the variety, they'll either go to a PS4 or Xbox One. That's all it is to it. See, ever wonder why the Wii U did it the last 5 years? It's like 4.5 to some extent. 4 years and some 3-4 months. They had no choice. They had to cut it short. There was no choice. If they try to support it as of March of 2017, they probably not going to make any money. So they do need it to release them. They probably were going to think about releasing it during holiday, but they said no, we got to release it now. So there you go. So yeah, they do need third-party support. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a Nintendo fan. I do have multi-platform console, but in the perspective of business, they do need third-party support. Am I going to support that? Well, I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry if I'm being a jerk, but you know my thing. I'm going to buy all my third-party games always on the PlayStation 4. For Nintendo, if I even get a Switch, it'll be just Nintendo games. I'm sorry, but just me. And that's what some people say, man, you're not really a true Nintendo support. Well, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. So, yeah, 'cause again, it showed that they do need third-party support. They can't just rely on their games. Because games are getting expensive. People are not buying Nintendo games for $60 rather than the Wii, which is $50. And the development cost high, so they really need to find ways. That's what they had to do Amiibo. They had to go mobile games because again, they need to make money. They need to find a way to make money. That's why they even had a closed Club Nintendo because they were losing a lot of money for it. So there you go. So if they got a good strategy, they should be fine. But there's already been problems, such as, like I said, Disney Afternoon Collection, not going to the Switch as of right now. No one knows. Maybe it will be too late, but whatever. Action Verge basically not going to the Switch because they said it was support, which is kind of weird because other games were port, but whatever. There are other things. So yeah, even I have to say, as a Nintendo fan, they do need third-party support. They just can't rely on Nintendo games anymore because they're harder to develop, they're costing a lot of money, and they need to find ways to make money. That's all it is to it. So yeah, that's my thoughts about it. Yeah, a little bit of history about how they got third party, and yes, the Switch do need third party support. So with that